The Education Development Fund is available to all faculty in the Faculty of Medicine and is supported by the Educational Vice Deans. Mandate. This presentation will review the core mandate of the EDF and identify the key elements of successful grants. We will also review the application process. The Education Development Fund is a seed fund designed to catalyze initiatives that encourage innovation, integration, and impact in education as they pertain to the Faculty of Medicine's strategic plan. Applicants may pursue an educational innovation and development project or an education research project. A project practically related to a course or course materials with the objective of improving existing curricula through encouraging new directions in education, enhancing integration and collaboration between portfolios, facilitating critical reflection about best practices, and/or expanding the impact of educational advancement. The development of education materials, products, and resources will be considered. A research project will be based on the search for and production of new knowledge. It is designed to produce data or results that will result in feasible and sustainable impact and influence and will encourage innovation in teaching practices and effectiveness. The EDF aims to support strategic directions in education across the disciplines ranging from basic science, public health, and the rehabilitation sciences. Projects should complement and advance the academic planning priorities of our educational programs and enhance the learner experience. Projects that integrate into existing courses and curricula will be preferred. Therefore, course or program directors should be consulted for proposals that involve learners in their courses and programs. Project sustainability is very important to long-term success. As funding is for 1 year only, a plan for sustainability needs to be elaborated in the project proposal. Projects may be aimed at the enhancement of the professional competencies of health professional students, health professional educators, and future scientists. A strong evaluative component is expected in each project, and the outcomes should be of publishable quality. Ethics. Projects that will be disseminated through academic journals, conferences, or otherwise reported for scholarly review must receive appropriate ethics review. Most projects involving U of T trainees and/or faculty participants as subjects can be submitted to the University of Toronto Ethics Board for review. You will need to submit to the Hospital Ethics Board of Primary Investigators Hospital, where funds will be held, or if you are recruiting participants at a hospital. Ethics submission has been made at time of EDF application, so be sure to factor this into your timeline for preparing your proposal. Eligibility. The applicant must be a faculty member engaged in the educational activities in basic, clinical, or rehabilitation sciences at the University of Toronto Faculty of Medicine. Collaborations are encouraged across the health professions and between disciplines. Those who serve in senior administrative positions within the faculty, such as deputy, vice, associate, or assistant decanal positions, are not eligible as project leaders or co-leaders for EDF funding, although they may be named on EDF applications. The applicant agrees to take responsibility for the overall project design, development, and completion. It is intended that the applicant is in the early stage of their educational scholarship activities. The EDF is intended to be seed money and not intended to support initiatives that have already received funding. Therefore, new and unfunded projects are preferred. The application requires disclosure of other sources approached for funding and other funding secured to support the same project. National or international projects that reflect the strategic goals of the faculty are acceptable to the Vice Deans for funding, provided that there is evidence of substantial impact within the University of Toronto Faculty of Medicine. Funding. Funding is provided by EDF for the period of 1 year to a maximum of $10,000 per project. All applications must have secured 1-to-1 matched funding. University-based budget cannot be used to provide the match. Note that many departments have an internal deadline for consideration for matched funding, so be sure to factor this into your proposal preparation timeline. Examples of previously funded projects can be found on the EDF page on the Faculty of Medicine website. Navigate to the page Leadership, then Governance and Leadership, then Education Vice Deans. Application. The EDF webpage has a link to the online submission form. Components of your proposal. The executive summary is a short synopsis of the proposed project. The background section should include a brief literature review, the institutional context surrounding the project, a literature review and summary of the current state of knowledge regarding this topic, and a description of the relevant work of the applicant if applicable. The rationale and perceived education gap or need section should include a description of the impetus for proposed project, the gap or need identified, and detail of perceived value of the project outcome. The objective section should include the objectives of the proposed project. There is a maximum of 100 words for this section. For an innovation and development project, the project description section should include methodology for developing the innovation such as material, product, and resource. It should also include the implementation plan and evaluation approach. For a research project, the project description should include a hypothesis or research question and the methods such as study population, study design, sample size, data collection, and data analysis. Outcomes leading to integration and impact section should include description of the potential for enhancement of existing or future programs, including enhancement of professional competencies, implementation strategy, plan for project sustainability, dissemination plan, or knowledge translation strategy. The feasibility section should include a description of the team, including roles and responsibility of team members, and a description of resources available and required, such as financial, expertise, or technology. You should include a disclosure of intended vendors with appropriate quotes if feasible. A complete list of supporting references is required. Applications should include a letter of support from the project leader's department chair confirming that the secured matched funding is in place. The letter of support should also outline the potential for meaningful incorporation and sustainability in the Faculty of Medicine education programs and the provision of support for the project leader to attend development sessions and complete the dissemination plan. In addition, applications must include a letter from the Research Ethics Board stating that ethics has been approved or that it is pending. A progress report is required halfway through the funding year outlining project status, budgetary expenditures, dissemination, and sustainability plans. Preparation and presentation of a poster to be presented at the Wilson Center Research Day will be required. The date and location will be provided to all EDF recipients following the receipt of the mid-year report. A final report is required at the end of the funding year. Formal written reports will record the work done, include a summary of budgetary expenditures, describe progress towards and barriers to implementation, and include a plan for dissemination knowledge translation. Final reports must be accompanied by a letter describing the outcomes as they relate to impact and integration as discussed between the recipient and the department chair. Review. Projects need to be feasible. Projects need to be applied. They must be rigorous with respect to methodology. They should be integrated with existing programs or courses, and sustainable past the end of the funding period. Now, a few things to remember. Some departments have internal deadlines in order to decide which project will receive matched funds. Ethics application needs to have been submitted at time of submission of your proposal. Note that you don't need to have the actual approval, but just proof that it's been submitted. The deadline for submission and announcement of awards is published on the EDF website. From the Faculty of Medicine homepage, you can navigate to the page Leadership, then Governance and Leadership, then Education Vice Deans. Should you have any questions about the fund or the call for applications, please do not hesitate to contact the office or the Education Vice Deans.